This is where the community is connected. 980 AM WDDO.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.
Macon in Middle Georgia. It's time for Village Talks with Tia and LJ. Join them live every Wednesday from 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. right here on the Glory 107.9 FM, 980 AM WDDO. Log on to the Glory 107.9 FM on Facebook or YouTube to become a part of the conversation. Let's go live into the studio for Village Talks with Tia and LJ.
Is your child struggling with reading, writing, learning loss, and a culturally irrelevant curriculum? Do you want your child to be outstanding at reading and writing and also take pride in their culture? Then you want Reading Revolution Online. Reading Revolution Online is a web-based reading support program. We serve scholars in grades K through 8, and through our innovative approach, we help them build reading confidence and cultural identity development, equipping them for success in school and life. They learn about Black heroes and sheroes through captioned videos, reading selections, and other activities. Reading Revolution Online is an experience for the whole family. Do it for the culture. Go to readingrevolution.org and get your membership today.
Hey there, hey there.
Hey.
Good evening. How y'all doing out there? How you doing?
We're doing great.
Yeah, welcome to Village Talks, everyone. We are Macon in Middle Georgia's freshest radio show and Godcast, bringing you conversations centered around culture and community from here in 478 and beyond.
That's right.
I am your co-host, LJ. And to my left is the vibrational, spontaneous, lovely, gorgeous, just so spirited, righteous, loyal, principled, valued, and loved eternally.
Tia, peace and blessings, good people. And thank y'all for joining us. We appreciate y'all. I want to give another big shout out to LJ, who just had a birthday pass on Monday. So, and thank you to everybody who commented and sent some birthday love to him, because he is absolutely phenomenal in everything that he does, and he is appreciated and loved. And so, thank y'all for celebrating him with us. We appreciate that. Also, my brother-in-law Derek, my good friend Wendy Nesbitt. Her birthday was the 19th.
Right.
And I have a cousin who will be celebrating his birthday on the 21st. It's a lot of y'all. Bishop's birthday is coming up. It's a lot of y'all tours.
Right, no, Bishop's birthday is today.
Oh, it's today. Happy birthday, Bishop.
Yeah, he won't answer the phone though, so happy birthday.
He said the phone's off. He don't want to hear from nobody.
Happy birthday to him and my brother Frank Dixon. Today's his birthday.
Oh,
as
yeah,
well.
Big Frank. Happy birthday, Frank.
Yeah, shout out to all the graduates today too, man. I mean, all of the graduates. I'm talking about high school, elementary school, middle school, college,
if you're getting your associates, your bachelor's, your master's, your doctorate, whatever you're doing, if this your second, third, fourth, fifth, first, whatever.
Yes.
Congratulations to you, because work goes in.
Absolutely. I'm super proud of my son, Kyrie. Got a shout out to Kyrie.
Big shout out to Kyrie.
Yeah,
he was dapper, y'all. He was real dapper.
Yeah, he was suited and booted. Yeah, but he made straight A's this year, and he won like the highest award for his behavior, and just having superior, conduct, as well as making straight A's. So I'm super proud of you, son, and keep up the good work. And everybody that's achieving great things, and those who might not have the straight A's or what have you, but that are, trying their hardest, trying their best, or they, overcoming obstacles, and might, didn't get it right last year, but you're working on it. You're getting better this year. So shout out to everyone that's gotten better this year. And we're going to send out some words of encouragement to everyone that's trying to get it right, moving forward.
Absolutely. So again, big congratulations to everybody who is walking across somebody's stage.
That's right.
And we are still sending love, thoughts, prayers, and encouragement to those who, like you said, may not have gotten it all the way right, but is still working towards, accomplishing your goals. Because
Absolutely.
as long as you don't quit, you don't fail. So you
Absolutely.
got to learn a new way of doing things. That's it.
Absolutely. And shout out to chat real quick. I saw my y'all excuse me, you might hear me a little stuffed up this sinus season and caught me a little bit later, y'all. So y'all bear with me. But brother Head, Edward James said, he said, shout out to the families that showed up to support the kids. They need that. That's for sure.
Right.
And also shout out to everyone else that's in the chat with us. Big brother Wade.
Oh,
Big
yeah.
Wade,
He's always in the chat.
Says hello, everyone. What's going on, sir? Big Wade. Carrie Hatcher from Macon Bill
School district
board of education.
Yeah.
He was a candidate. He was just saying hello. Shout out to you, man. You ran an incredible race, man. We're thankful for you. And he's still at it, y'all. He ain't one of them folks that just because he didn't get that elected position that he ain't gonna be doing the work.
That's right.
He's still doing the work, man. So we appreciate you for doing what you're doing in the community. My brother, Joe Booz, my village brother.
Oh, yeah.
Says, what's up, village family? What's up, my village brother?
That's right.
Yeah. Commissioner Bryant, she says, hello, everyone. Hello, Commissioner.
Hey, Commissioner.
Carrie Hatcher says, the budget hearing is tomorrow at 9 a.m. He's talking about the school board meeting. Says, I cannot stress enough how important this is. I know it's short notice and during work hours, but please, if you have the ability, go sit in this meeting. Note the change of locations to downtown. I can't say for sure, but this probably won't be streamed or recorded based on past experiences. Called board meeting, budget work session, May 21st, 2026, 9 a.m., 484 Mulberry Street, Suite 400, Boardroom, Macon, Georgia, 31201. Make sure y'all get there.
Right. And if for those who don't know, that is the Board of Education office downtown on Mulberry Street. So it's right next to that old Synovus. I don't think it's Synovus anymore. But yeah, make sure if you are able, please get to that meeting.
Okay, for sure. And Commissioner Bryant, she said I love those love affirmations.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, for me, I do that every, if you listen to Village Talks every week, I do that every week, but I don't write none of that stuff down, y'all, because I ain't got to. Tia is just that great, so it just come off the top of off the dome, from my heart, from the heart and the soul.
That's right.
She make it easy, y'all. Brother Head says my brother and sister, and Jared Jackson says hi, guys. What's going on? How you doing?
That's
Jaretta Jackson. I'm sorry.
That Miss Jaretta.
Okay, my bad, Miss Jaretta. That ain't no Jared.
Nah, Tony. We ain't gonna have an engineer come in here and say,
oh,
get it right.
No, I'm so sorry. That's sister-in-law. I'm so sorry about that. And shout out to our engineer, Tony.
Big shout out to Tony.
Big shout out to Tony.
Big shout out to Bishop again and Apostle for, just having this opportunity for everyone, for us to, broadcast live to y'all from WDDO 107.9. FM 980 AM on YouTube. We live on Facebook. We live, and we appreciate everything that they do that goes above and beyond the call of duty. So we appreciate them tremendously.
Absolutely. And don't y'all forget to call in with us. We're gonna have a good conversation today.
Oh yeah.
And we need y'all to be a part of it.
We need y'all active and engaged. So we appreciate the comments already. If that is a foreshadowing of what's to come, then we appreciate y'all for tuning in and joining in the conversation.
Yeah, so don't be scared to call in.
Don't be scared.
And that number is right there on the screen if you're watching with us online. But if you're listening to us on the radio, that number is 478-250-1444. Again, that number is 478-250-1444. Do you want to shout out our sponsors before you get into the good news?
Of course. So we have our sponsor, Dr. Chike Akua with Reading Revolution. And if you join us at the top of the show every week, then you will see that ad that comes on. That's culturally centered and culturally relevant reading for our youth. And he also does workshops, conferences, seminars, all of those things. So big shout out to Dr. Chike Akua. We also have Habersham Records. Thank you to Habersham Records, Mama Malone, LJ.
That's right.
We also appreciate Assembly Brothers, and that is the big bro, little bro, big bro, little bro,
Big Sherm.
Big Sherm. We appreciate him. We also have Homeland Village Cultural Center, and that's Abijah over here on Napier Avenue, right down the road.
That's
And
right.
so, if you have not been to Homeland, it's so many great things happening at Homeland, from food prep to CMOS to artifacts to books, to clothing, you name it, it's there. So be sure if you haven't visited Homeland to check out Homeland. Also, big shout out to Roscoe Tours.
That's right.
So if you need a ride around Georgia, really out of Georgia, anywhere. Roscoe Tours is your place to go for luxurious travel.
Right. Charter buses, mini buses, Sprinter vans, you name it. ADA vehicles, they got you.
That's right. And so that is our sponsors. Thank you so much for supporting us in Village Talks. And then, was there anything you wanted to share before we move on to what's happening?
No, let's get it so we can start this conversation.
Okay. And so, the summer is coming. Kids are getting out of school, so they're going to need some things to do. So let's start off with some things that are happening, some events that are happening for the kids. Warner Robins Learning Academy is hosting its Prepare for Takeoff enrollment tour later this month for families interested in summer programming and early learning opportunities. So they'll have some events Saturday, May 23rd from 11 to 5 at Ted Wright Park. Sunday, May 24th from 2 to 5 at the Table First Christian Church. And Sunday, May 31st from 2 to 5 again at the Table First Christian Church. Families can enjoy food, activities, giveaways, and learn more about summer enrollment opportunities. The See the Children Art Show will be taking place on Friday, June 5th from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. at 567 Center for Renewal on 1st Street in downtown Macon. The exhibition includes multiple local artists, including Randy Hart, Kevin Sean Lewis, Tierra Grace, and this will be part of the City Art Studio and focuses on creativity, expression, and youth-centered storytelling through art. So if you are able to check that out on June 5th, that would be awesome.
Oh, that's gonna be cool.
Oh yeah,
those are great artists right there.
Oh yeah, and this is a lot more. So be sure to check that out. And then the Middle Georgia Juneteenth celebration. So this will start on June 6th and run through, I believe, the 22nd. So there will be multiple events happening over the course of those 2 to 3 weeks. The celebration officially kicks off on June 6th and continues throughout the month with a series of cultural events, educational workshops, performances, and community gatherings. So there'll be Black History van tours, hip hop summit discussions, literary and film symposiums, art workshops, Tales from the Culture, and that theme will be Black Boy Joy. So that will be interesting. The annual Juneteenth Freedom Festival, the annual Juneteenth Parade, Jazz in the Courtyard at the Douglas Theater. So some of the events, most of the events are free. Some may include admission-free fees. So y'all be sure to check out that link on the Making Black Culture or Kwanzaa Cultural Access Center link on Facebook, and you'll be able to figure out which ones and what dates are available for those. There are some other summer camps. Men About Change is hosting a summer camp from June 1st through July 23rd. The camp will include academic enrichment, STEM tutoring, arts and crafts, music, and field trips. CAPS is accepted, and families can contact them directly for the registration details. And there will also be Elevate Her Summer Leadership and Success Academy that will be taking place July 6th through July 17th at the Booker T. Washington Community Center. The program will focus on leadership development, financial literacy, entrepreneurship, public speaking, mentorship, and confidence building, and college and career readiness. The program will culminate with community showcase and fundraiser. This opportunity is for young ladies, I believe 10 and up. And you can check out Maisha's page, Maisha Clark, for the BU Equal Pie, and she'll have more information and details on that. The Tubman Museum Heritage Camp will be taking place from July 13th through July 24th for children ages 7 through 14. Campers will explore African American history and culture, storytelling, dance, painting, field trips, and creative arts activities. Lunch and snacks are included, and admission will be $80 per week, which will be a total of $160 for the full 2-week camp experience. There will be a youth football camp that'll be taking place in July. NFL players Tylen Grabble, Bud Dupree, and Ashton Grabble will host a free youth football camp on Saturday, July 11th in McIntyre, Georgia. The camp is open to K through 5th grade students from 9 a.m. to 10:30, and then for 6th to 12th grade students from 10:30 to 12:30. And participants are asked to bring cleats. And if you have any other, if you know of any other events that'll be taking place in the Macon and Middle Georgia area, feel free to put those in the comments in the chat, and we will be sure to list those out. But that is what's happening in Macon and Middle Georgia.
That's what's happening.
Yes.
A lot of great stuff going on.
There's a lot of good things happening for the youth, for adults, for the whole family. So yeah,
absolutely. So if anybody tell you ain't never nothing going on for the youth, for the kids, nothing positive happening in Macon, they telling the story.
That ain't the truth.
You gotta tap in. You
That's
know what
right.
I mean? So we gotta stay balanced. Village House, we are gonna keep it real now. We're gonna talk about some things that is that needs to change. Or some things that might not be as positive, or that we need to overcome. When we talk about obstacles and challenges that we're having.
That's right.
But at the end of the day, this is a beautiful place. It's a beautiful space. There's a lot of great people doing the work. We just have media now. A lot of times, it just isn't just highlighting or showcasing what's happening or what's going on. So we want to be that. We want to be the light that we want to see.
Absolutely.
Hold on, let you because the owner was calling my phone for some reason. Well, let me see what's going on. I got to answer his call.
All right, so we will go ahead and move into the accountability check. And so he on the radio right now. And so the accountability check question, in light or in lieu of the primaries that just took place yesterday, May 19th. The accountability check question: do you feel like elections are creating real change in your daily life? Do you feel like elections are creating real change in your daily life? And if you do feel like elections are creating change in your daily life, and you feel like it's changes for the better or changes that aren't so good, we want you all to tap into that. So give us a call, 478-250-1444, or leave your comment in the chat. And that's really going to kick off our conversations that we are having today regarding the primary election results, what they mean for Macon bid, and all things election. So again, what do you feel like elections are creating real change in your daily life? LJ, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think different people. A lot of people are frustrated with politics right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then civic education is at an all-time low. As far as letting people know how policies are affecting folks' lives, like on the local level, state level, and on the federal level. I absolutely do think and know that elections are creating real change in our lives, one way or another, whether it be through actual policies or through the different things that are said, just stuff that's just put in the atmosphere due to the news cycle or things that the people are talking about or things that are trending. You know what I mean? Because, whether or not people are voting, they're still talking about the president, or they're still talking about things, the gas prices or things like that. And so, these are a direct effect, due to policy and different things that are happening due to elected leadership. And so, absolutely, I know that elections are creating or affecting change in my life, whether I like it or not. I might not like all the change, but it's definitely creating a real change. And so, being active in policy or being active in the voting, the voting process, that's how we get that change to be led in more of a direction that benefits us, in our communities. And so I do know and feel that local elections are extremely important. We get really excited about state elections, for the governor and presidential races and the Congress and senators and everything like that, which is great because we need that, because definitely a trickle down effect when we talk about government.
Right.
But when we talk about local government, there are things that you can see right here, right now, and you can advocate for yourself with your local commissioners, mayors, other elected officials, government appointed officials, to where they can do things that affect your life in real time. You know, in relation to the communities that we live in, even how even certain money is allocated. Like when people
Mhm.
even understand Atlanta, for whatever reason, I don't know why. We have certain leadership in Macon that says, "Oh well, we ain't Atlanta," and yeah, Macon, we are our own city. We love having our own sauce, our own. I like if you see the work in the other places, I mean, it's nothing wrong with trying to model that. If you see something bad happening in other places, nothing wrong with saying, "Hey, look, we're not going to do that." But
Right.
we're right up the street from Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta, Georgia is the number one city in the southeastern part of the United States, regardless. It's number one in the nation in so many different factors. You've had a black mayors for one. We talk about a majority black city like Macon. We're trying to do things that can better the black community. There are a lot of things to learn from Maynard Jackson or Andrew Young, the many other black mayors and things that they did, to make sure that the Atlanta became a vibrant city, especially one for black folks. You got more black millionaires in Atlanta than anywhere in the United States. So that's something to actually look at and say, hey, how can we duplicate that? You know what I mean?
Right.
So
No.
and the only reason why I brought that up was because, there are a lot of different, when we talk about procurement and like in contracting, we talk about contractors and whether it be in construction or just various, different entities that could be do business with the government. That money trickles down, and creates like real wealth, in communities. So,
Right. And so I just want to add a caveat to that, because I think that, wealth is important when we're talking about like black wealth and things like that. But I think it's also in terms of discussing classism and elitism. Because I think that sometimes we see that, and those are things that we want to emulate. Like we do want to have more black businesses or minority businesses that are getting government contracts and things like that on the local, state, federal level. However, we also have to understand that once we start getting those contracts, a lot of times we tend to want to escape, our current environment. We don't want to give back and make sure that the environment that we up in or grew up in, can also flourish and learn. We're not really investing in those same spaces. So I think that is important. It has to be a connection between the two. You can generate wealth for yourself. Yes, we want to see, black folks, we want to see people, bridging that wealth gap, because that is a real thing. There is a very distinct and a very extended wealth gap between
right.
blacks and whites, but in the midst of bridging that wealth gap, we can't leave each other behind. And I know it's this whole crabs in the barrel thing, whatever, but when we talk about crabs in the barrel, again, I will say crabs are not naturally inhabitants of a barrel. So how did crabs get in the barrel? And we have to deconstruct the social justice part, and I think that's the part that we miss a lot of times when we're talking about folks doing well, because I think Macon we can see black folks doing well in our community, but like I said, there's an elitism and a gatekeeping almost that happens, and we kind of lose sight of helping each other. And I think there has to be that component as well when we make
Yeah. Oh yeah.
make those distinctions.
Yeah, and I think that culture and history, they play a major part in all this, right? And like we try to separate that from politics, but you do have certain groups of folks. You might not necessarily have them as being either majority of the population or even being in elected positions, right? So I'm gonna just say, like for instance, like the East Indian population here in Macon, right? If you look at a lot of the big donors when it comes to a lot of the candidates that run for a lot of the I guess I would say the larger offices in Macon, you see the East Indian population being major contributors to what's happening. East Indian, I mean India, like India, folks from India, right? And they have the highest median income of anyone in the United States. So that's white, black, you name it, Asian, Indians, East Indians from India have the highest median income level in the United States of America, right? And so that culture is what helps them to drive their economics. They're able to enforce and impact policy through due to the money that they have, due to the businesses that they own, just due to their different interests that they're a part of, And so for us, I like to say that our culture and our history is very important. It's important for us to, to have a balance, of us being able to work within our own communities. We need to start participating in neighborhood organization meetings. Understanding that how important it is for us to have our own plans, create our own plans within our community, so we'll know what to ask. Because even when we get officials in office, what are we asking for? We don't even know what we're asking half of the time. And then even when we talk about how culture in our history even affects the wealth. Even when we talk about the wealth gap and how people want to leave neighborhoods, this and that, right? And so, I was telling you, when we was having a conversation about this, even before we got here, and I was talking to my brother Joe Booz the other day. We was talking about how, like, affordable housing. We was talking about how stuff is even happening in South Macon. Folks were talking about the houses that were, built over there in South Macon through the affordable housing fund that Macon has, and Maconville government has. And that's like the thing right now. Everybody talking about affordable housing. That's the new thing now. We're talking about, trying to help develop communities. Folks want to come and build these new houses or build these new homes and try to find folks coming to these homes. But like in a place like Macon, Georgia, historically, we are the most redlined city in America, right? And so to put that like real plain without going through a whole history of redlining, redlining was when black folks were disproportionately left out of the, federal housing loans. And, and they built interstates to our neighborhoods after that, through urban renewal and all that. So it really affected black wealth due to the lack of home ownership, right? So it affected us in regards to home ownership. And home ownership, if you talk to anybody who's in the financial sector, like my guy Joe Booz or other experts, they'll tell you that home ownership is the backbone, the foundation of building wealth, right? And so when we have these homes, we have an issue with heirs properties. Like we keep talking about this blight fight and our government spend all this money on tearing down houses, or we got this blight in our communities, right? And the number one thing that we focus on is affordable housing. Like most of our money is going towards building new homes instead of renovation.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
And like Mayor Ellis came on the show, last year. Oh, shout out to Mayor Ellis too. Yeah. He's gonna be on our show next week, y'all. Just to let y'all know, Mayor Ellis is gonna be our special guest next Wednesday. And he had a program where he talked about it on the last show where the local government gave forgivable loans to families, meaning they gave them money that they didn't have to pay back if they just agreed to make improvements to their homes. And they didn't have to pay it back as long as they stayed there. But if they want to sell their homes, then they had to pay the loan back. You know what I mean? And so programs like that encourage people to want to build in their neighborhoods, right, to improve the community that they already live in. To not sell mama house or grandmama house or daddy house or granddad house or uncle house. You want to make sure you keep these homes in the family, because it's a place for our families to grow in and be in. For one, first and foremost, a place of dwelling, but they're wealth creation tools. We can create wealth through these things. So I just want to say that, in regards to like when we talk about policies and how they affect us every day, even how little money like that happens, or how these, how we even view development or how we view certain things, comes from us being involved in, political decisions and stuff like that end up trickling down into our communities. But I just want to throw that out there for everybody that's into or thinking about community development, or we having these conversations around community development here in Macon, Georgia, especially. We need to start talking more about renovation and not just building new homes, in communities where we got homes that are, got leaking roofs, or, folks are barely able to pay these property taxes, and there's no programs to help them to understand or, to keep these homes in families, so.
Absolutely. And then I just want to add to that when we're talking about developers coming in, because we went to an event hosted by the Land Bank Authority and the housing affordable housing fund, and it was a good event. We saw some developers there, and my one of my biggest takeaways with that is, developers can come into neighborhoods and you can build up homes, but how are you actually connecting with the people in the community? How are you understanding the history and culture of that community to make sure that when you're coming into this community, I get that it's an investment, but you're not losing the value of the people who stay in these areas. So I think that it's important for us to understand, policies, and what policies do for us as a community, as opposed to politics being about popularity. Because I think that in making Bibb, quite often we see more popularity versus policy, and understanding what certain policies can do, and how we can and how we can actually understand what policies, how we can advocate for certain policies through the politicians that we elect into office. Not necessarily because I know so and so has been cool since I since 2004 or whatever, and so now I'm going to vote for so and so because I've been knowing them for all of this time, as opposed to, yeah, I know so and so, but what is so and so's policies? What are they telling me that they're going to do for my community? What are they saying that they're going to do for their constituents? If I'm a constituent that's in the area that they're going to be running for, what things do I want to see? And are they someone who is responsible for those things? And now I want to advocate for I'm either I do want to advocate for so and so, or no, I don't, because even though I know this person, what they're saying that they want to do or are going to do, or what I have seen from them, if it's an incumbent, what I have seen from them has not been beneficial, and they have not taken my concerns into consideration, then it's time for me to move forward with somebody else. So I think that those type of things are important, and that's how we get civic engagement higher. Is by actually educating people and people understanding those connections.
Right.
And then we'll just go to the chat. We have a few more. Randy Crawford says, hello, all. Chris Barfield says, hello, everyone. Don't be down about last night's election results. We did win one important race. Mrs. Paris won. Hey, goodbye. Third term shot. LOL. And then Joe Boo says, affordable housing is not just developers by Black communities enriching to us for generations. Absolutely. He also says home ownership and home revitalization must be priority for Black communities and leadership as a whole.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It has to be a part of the conversation. And with that,
and we forgot to shout out our little sister, Sade. She in there too. She said, hey,
Sade. Hey, sis. Hi, girl. I'm going to text you too, girl. I didn't see you. Yes. Hey, sis. And then Kara Hatcher says, thank you. And then those are the updates on those.
Yeah, if anyone, if y'all could, call in, and if y'all want to join this conversation to talk about what's happening last night, and also, if y'all want to talk about the elections or anything that we're talking about now, Joe Booz, I'd love for you to call in too, if you can, talk about the home ownership piece and some of the things maybe that y'all talked about at this meeting that y'all had at South Macon, with Macedonia with Pastor Belvin Well. But Chris Barfield, he talked about Miss Paris. And he's talking about the third term shot. What they're talking about is the proposal, that's been thrown out there about the mayor having a third term, and commissioners having unlimited terms. Them trying to amend that charter, and it needs a certain amount of local delegation here from House of Representatives and local Senate to sign off on that. And to sign off on it, to get it into the legislature where they could, then vote on it. And so anyway, there are certain races that still, this was the primary election, y'all. Just to let y'all know. Okay. So the November election is the general election. So that's when the Democrats and the Republicans face off. After they won their primary, like the Democrats, won their primary, like Ms. Paris won her Democratic primary, but she still has to face the Republican. I think his name is Farmer or something.
Calvin Palmer.
Yeah. And so she still has to face a candidate in November, right? And so nobody knows what his stance is about stuff like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, you even have like Marshall Talley, and shout out to everyone that ran in that Water Authority District 2 race. That's what T and I live at. You had Miss Renalda Scott. Shout out to you. She does a lot of amazing things. She's always supporting us in the show. Then we have Miss Sharif Robbins Branson, right? Yeah, and he's a young brother. How old is he? like 23,
I would
24.
say he just graduated.
Yeah, just graduated from college. Good brother. He's fired up and ambitious about trying to help the community. It was great candidates. But Marshall Talley was the came out on top. He had the most votes, and then second to him was a guy named Ron Lemon. And they're going to be in a in a runoff
Right
in June, right? And so yeah, we have a caller, but I just want to let y'all know that there are some runoffs.
Yeah, and we'll get into those after the caller, because there are quite a few runoffs that'll all be on a ballot in June. So those are some things we want to look
So it ain't over with.
Right.
So there's another. You got to vote again in June. Then you got to vote again in November.
That's right.
But caller, who do we have on?
Hey, LJ and Tia, this Commissioner Bryant.
Hey, Commissioner, how you doing?
Hi. I was on Miss Elaine's show, and I'm glad y'all had this question. Education. It's going to be so important. It's going to be necessary for the vote. While I was out there helping, because out there supporting, and I said, I'm going to say this, like I said, don't nobody pay me to get out there and help them. If anybody ever ran for anything, they know it takes a team. If you don't have the money, it definitely takes a team of people that are going to help you and volunteer for stuff, whether it be calling, door knocking, canvassing, putting out signs. So, I'm the type of person, if you call me, I'm not going to give you no advice on how to do it, how to win it. I'm going to ask you where you need me at and where can I fit in it. So my thing is for education. I saw so many people that really didn't know about the race. I was at Eastside. I went to Eastside softball. They had some games over at the park over Dolores Park, and I was waiting till the games was over, and I was passing out some of the flyers I had. And I asked one of the young ladies, "Hey, how you doing?" I said, "Have you voted?" "Yeah, I voted last year." She said it all out. I said, "No, it's an election coming up. Who we vote for now?" I said, "Ma'am, it's a whole bunch of people on this list between the governor, lieutenant governor, secretary of state." I said, "Your local people." And it was a lady behind her. She was saying, "I vote, even if they change they have a vote to change the color of the bubble gum, I'm going to vote." So, and she said, "Well, I ain't but 25, and I don't know nothing about the vote." And I said, "So, are you registered?" She said, "Yeah." She said, "But I don't keep up with it." I said, "So, where do you hang out most? What do you do?" And I said, "So you didn't see anything on TikTok and Facebook and anything in your mail?" And she said, "Well, I probably don't watch the same thing you watch on TikTok." So basically she was talking about algorithm, but that's one. And then the other guy, Mario, them gave him a ride to the poll. And I'm not talking about this brother. I'm just saying how uneducated some of us are about the voting. Marshall Taylor told him, "Man, go vote for me." He went in there, skipped past everybody's name, hit Marshall Taylor's name, made that one vote, and came back out. So he didn't vote for nobody else. He ain't vote for no governor, no lieutenant governor. He ain't vote for no secretary of state, no judges, no nobody. So talking to the person at Board of Education, quite a few people did that. And I'm like, this has got to be talked about. The churches got to start giving some kind of, they do Bible study maybe on a Saturday. They can go over the ballot education of who on the ballot, not so much as who we going to tell to vote for, but explain. 7 people on here, all of them are supposedly Democrats. They're all on the same team, but one trying to be the captain, and the captain's going to meet off in November. That's because people saying, "Well, I ain't going to vote." They didn't took the D from by their name, or they don't took the R. I said, "No, these are supposed to be all Democrats." I said, "These local races, they're nonpartisan, but you have to do your homework to figure out who's Republican and who's Democrat." So we got to start going where they are. These basketball games, I know a lot of people don't be interested, and they be like, "I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to do that." But we got to get them to sign up and educate them on this voting.
Absolutely.
That's a really good point, because to hear that people went to the polls and only made one vote because they were told, "Hey, vote for me." I think that while we do want to get people out, I think we should be explaining the importance of of voting for all of the races up and down the ballot. And even if you don't know everybody, that's why we have to have that voter education early, getting people to be aware of who people are, what they're running on. And that's why I was, going back to policies and just understanding, why policies are important. And that's kind of how you can tell, somebody's Republican, Democrat, independent, or whatever, because of, the policies that they bring forth in your community, like what they're focusing on. It tells a big story into, what kind of votes they would make, or, how they would be, based on, those decisions.
Right. And I like that too. I think that we need to get back more to people selecting the politicians instead of politicians selecting the people.
Absolutely.
And so,
that money, when they putting that money towards people, people look at the money. It's like it's what they say, everything that glitters ain't gold. So when they putting that money toward them, and regular people don't have that kind of money, you got to actually get out and do the work. You can't work from your sofa and send out flyers. People that they have to actually get out and work, but people ought to notice that these are the people, they getting out working, knocking on doors. These are the people that gonna work hard for you in the neighborhood, in our community. They're not just gonna sit back and say, "Okay, we got this," because everybody water bill how they complain about it, but they didn't make a change. So you complain about your water bill how, but you went back with the same company.
But that's why folks got to be involved. Yeah, they got to be involved though, 24/7, 365. They don't just show up or start talking about the water bill when it's election time. Don't start talking about what Commissioner Bryan or whoever else doing or ain't doing just when it's election time. Go down to City Hall. Listen to things like this. Broadcasts like this, or check out some of the different events and things that Commissioner Bryan and other commissioners and people are doing, and be involved. So you can listen and learn and be involved in the process and know what's happening in your local community. And so a lot of folks have no idea, not only about the candidates, but they have no idea about the positions. They won't even know about the positions. What people are supposed to be doing, what they have been doing, and things like that. And so I think it's important for us across the board, for us all, as community, as a community, to just engage our people across the board 24/7, 365 in these processes, and not just when it's election time, because this election time political stuff, for one, most people are turned off to politics during election time.
Right.
Because, they so busy getting all these texts and they get all these commercials and they being bombarded with stuff, especially somebody who not even don't really care about politics like that. It's even harder to reach them a lot of times during this time, because they already not engaged, and now you engaging them more about stuff that they don't really care about, so they think it's disingenuous. You know what I mean? So if you reach out to folks, 24/7, 365, you go to them in December, on January, on an in between year, when it ain't no elections going on, when it's just these meetings, these commission meetings or these water board meetings, or these school board meetings, and let us get our folks involved. Then folks know that you're serious. And then us as a community, we got to start selecting politicians or selecting our candidates before we got to vote for them.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Stand behind them. We got to realize they need money. We got to do some fundraising. We got to start educating them about fundraising. So whether we start ahead of time, so if you're running next year, we need to be fundraising now, so that by the time it's time for you to run, you can have everything you need between your signs, your T-shirts, your flyers, whatever it is. But
I think even. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Tia.
No, I was just gonna say, I think even before a year, like we have to get to the point where we are so prepared and educated that we have people lined up. Like we know we want so and so is gonna be pushing these policies. These are the people that we want. These are the policies that we want to see first. So these are the policies that we want to see, and then we start speaking about, okay, who is the ideal candidate who will be able to, push these policies that we want to see. And that's how we make change. But like you said, absolutely, the funding, the fundraising, and all of those things come with it. But we can't be so behind the curve that we're waiting until election comes up to then start saying, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and start pushing for you. We have to move with more awareness and be more assertive in how we are, picking people and choosing people. And I do want to say, because we do have some comments. Joe,
Before you get into the comments, I'm sorry. Why not? Go ahead and get to the comments. Don't go nowhere if you can, Commissioner, because I want to ask you about the budget hearing yesterday.
Yeah, because we got about 15 minutes left. So let's see. Chris Barfield says that they counted that vote for just one person. Think that the system didn't record the whole ballot. They probably did, because they asked you to check to make sure that your vote is on there. And if he saw after he printed out his ballot that Tally's name was on there, and they would have counted it. Kia Boo says, hey y'all. Joe Boo says a lot of them didn't know anything about the candidates. Chris Barfield says we're going to have to take a bath once a month now.
They counted it here because we were talking with some of the people, with one of the workers, and she said, y'all wouldn't believe how many people had one vote on their thing. And we were like,
I can believe it. And because I can say, even speaking for myself, there were people who I did not vote for, regardless if they were on the ballot solo, they were running unopposed, because I haven't seen you. I haven't heard of you. I haven't seen you do anything in particular that says you care about the seat that you are on this ballot for. So I can just say for myself personally, I can understand not wanting to just do a random vote. But right. you want to make sure that, we getting ahead of that. So I feel like candidates should be out here. Yes, I want your vote. But if I understand the importance of voting, I'm going to hand you a sample ballot as well. So you see, and you can do, the research, and you can understand. And, I can tell you so-and-so is having a forum. Make sure you get to this forum so you can hear some of these candidates, and you can hear what that, what their ideals are and things like that. So we have to be more intentional in that manner. Stephanie Stevens Latham says we have to meet the younger generation on their level. We have to teach them through social media. We have to teach them before the election. This is a perfect time to start with the election in November. Yes, I agree. But also we have to teach not just the younger voters. It's a lot of folks that are, older who still need that education. Kat Cole says public notice. I sent a message for a giveaway at Piedmont North Hospital, car seats and other things. It began at 6 p.m. So if you are in Macon, Piedmont North Hospital is having a giveaway of car seats and some other items. Joe Boo says the American Economic Association says the present compounded value of Black land loss from 1920 to 1997 is about $326 billion. Number two, Ayers property is estimated to make up more than 1/3 of Southern Black-owned land, about 3.5 million acres worth more than $28 billion. LJ, I keep the Black property data on deck. So yeah,
right. Got to keep that data on deck. That's another thing too. We got to start leading with data. All these opinions, all this narrative, because that's another reason why people ain't trying to vote, because they ain't giving no facts. People don't know what to trust. So we got to start leading with data around here.
It's a lot of narratives that get pushed, and people just buy into a narrative because it sounds good. And depending on who it's coming from, you might trust a voice, as opposed to actually seeing numbers can change a lot of things.
Right. And speaking of numbers, real quick, Commissioner, can you say what was there a highlight yesterday? We know that the mayor rolled out the budget yesterday. It was a budget hearing yesterday. Is there anything that you think the public needs to know about in regards to the budget? I know there's another public hearing that's supposed to be coming up soon. Is there anything that we need to know about that rollout of our new budget? Oh, is she still on?
It don't sound like it.
Okay, she's not on no more. Okay. All
right.
Well, anyway, just let y'all know that was Commissioner Bryant. But there was a rollout of our 2027 budget rolled out yesterday. I checked it out somewhat. It looks like it's pretty much going to be about the same as it was last year. The mayor did stress that he says that there are some challenges gets coming from the national politics or state politics that makes it a little harder to do some of the things that we were, I guess, able to do in the past. So he feels like there's certain things out of our control here locally, so he doesn't know how that will affect us, moving forward with certain things. But he feels confident that we'll be able to have the same services and they increase even some of the funding for public safety in certain aspects. The millage rate stayed the same. It didn't necessarily go down that much or go up that much. So it's pretty much around the same amount. But yeah, we are going to be dealing with some different issues here moving forward because we highly dependent on sales tax in Macon too. Like we have to realize that too because just if people stop buying goods or if people stop buying at the rate that they were buying, we're gonna have less money, in our budget. And I don't know if people remember about 20 years ago. Shout out to Virgil Watkins because he sure helped us out a lot in that crunch. It might have not even been 20 years ago, about 15 years ago, 12 to 15 years ago, the whole budget shut down to make the city budget shut down completely because we didn't have enough money in our budget. And I don't think you weren't here then, Till, but it was crazy. I know you'd have heard about it before. And so they were talking about getting rid of the recreation centers, no more summer programs. The city buses was about to shut down. Like it was terrible. So we need to understand that our budget, how money, where our money go, it matters. So we need to be paying attention to these things because it look good now. Because we had the American Rescue Act money, we had $77 million is what the mayor, this Les Miller's had, of the American Rescue Act funding that came from Joe Biden that you could spend anywhere. So we're not gonna have that money no more.
Right.
After he's gone the next 2 years. So it's gonna be you have to balance this budget a lot better, moving forward. But we have a caller on right now.
All right. And real quick, caller. Hey, caller, are you there?
Hello?
Yes, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. How you doing?
All right, how are you?
I'm doing just fine. Listen, I was just calling to expound on what I wrote in the chat. Yes, I'm here.
Okay, you can go ahead. Just state your name and then just go ahead with your thought.
Yes. So I was just calling to expand on what I put in the chat about we need to meet the younger generation on their level. I tell you, as you know, I met you and LJ when I was running for county commissioner. The reason I got into that was because of the younger generation and how they're perceived and how in Macon there's really nothing for them and most of them are leaving Macon. And so with that being said, if we don't teach them about elections, if we don't teach them what they need to know, then I would say we're at fault. And I'm going to say that because we are at fault. Because this generation here, they're only about me and what me can get. And, it's just I this. And so now as people who are trying to help in the community, who are trying to guide them in the right direction, because the most important thing is you're trying to guide them. You're trying to give them an arm up. You're trying to assist them into being a productive citizen. And assist them being a productive citizen, you also need to teach them about voting and how important voting is. Because if you think about it, a lot of our history is being removed from the school. So, I mean, we had, people that I grew up in a generation, just a generation away from when people were being, beat and died to vote. I'm going to vote because that is how I was taught. I was taught to vote. So we need to teach them how to vote. And what I mean by teach them how to vote, we need to meet them on their level. And by meeting them on their level, we have to teach them that, and I know you're saying we have to teach everybody, but they're the future. If the future don't know what they need to do in order to sustain government, in order to sustain their environment and their ability to make a living, then what's the point?
Absolutely. And I'm in agreement. And I don't disagree at all with your statement. I think that it's definitely important to teach our youth and to get them, into positions and understanding. In the chat, Wade Horton says when he was a kid, he had mock elections in school. Do they still have that? That taught him the importance. And I think things like that are important. I know Burdell Hunt, they had a mock election last year in November.
Right.
But I'm not sure, if all schools are still doing that, but I think that's important. And then one thing that I want to say is that even when we're talking about the youth being the future, we also have to understand why it's important for succession and to have, mentors or mentees, and for people who are in these political and leadership roles to take under the wing, people, our youth, because the average age is like, I don't know, of U.S. politicians is high. Like we see a lot of old, people in their 60s and 70s, and some of them in their 80s, and they're, still in office and holding these seats, because once you get that little bit of power, you want to hold on to it. But the whole point is for us to teach those youth and to understand that we have to move things forward and get fresh ideas and be more innovative and get people who really can carry on those legacies, but we're not seeing that. So education is important. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like to say this too, because I saw even Chris Barfield, he said there about the millage, there was a millage increase for the Board of Education. And Macon has a tale of two cities, I should say.
Absolutely.
When we talk about what's going on with our public education. That's why I say history and culture is very important to understand when you even talk about policy. We talk about millage rate. And if we want the entire city of Macon to thrive, we need the people, the underserved, to thrive.
Absolutely.
We have a 25% plus poverty rate. A lot of it comes from our history of redlining. And then we talk about a public school situation. 1971, we had private schools that were created as a response to schools being integrated. We had Tatnall, FPD, Stratford, Central Fellowship. All these schools were started like the same year. There were like 22 schools that they call segregation academies that were started. And so we have a private and a public school situation here in Macon that is very divisive. And so therefore, you have a lot of the higher income earners who kids go to private schools. Then we have a lot of our underserved Black communities and kids going to public schools. So public school is about 85 or almost 90% of times Black, 10% other or white. Private school is the exact opposite. The same thing, it's like 85, 90% white, the rest 10 to 15% Black. And so, when you have higher earners sending the kids to private school, now they want to say, well, I don't want to spend my money for my kids going to, why should I be spending money for these public schools? My kids don't go to public school. But at the end of the day, these schools were intentionally segregated by white churches. For one, white churches started these schools.
Right.
We got to call it for what it is. And nobody's really truly been educated as to why we ended up in this situation. And so at the end of the day, children are suffering. So when we're talking about, we want to educate our kids in schools to know more about policies and for them to know about why they should get involved in this and that. They're losing funding all day, every day.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
People don't even want to fund the schools.
Right.
So let alone what they taught in the school. So we gotta start. We need to have that conversation too about the schools and the school system and why, and not even just why the millage rates should increase. Because you got people like places like Warner Robins or other cities, their millage rate is constantly increasing, but people ain't complaining about it like that,
Right?
Because they got all the services and everything that you want.
Because you understand the connection to social services, and I think that is an important piece that people need to understand. And I saw a comment from and I think her name is Rebecca Sweeney, but she's at St. Peter Claver, and she said something important. She said even though her kids are not in public school, she understands the importance of paying taxes and understanding that money goes into public schools and the importance of having everyone in the community thrive. And I think that we have to get at that mindset. We will say, yes, we all have to work together for everything to thrive and for us to thrive. But then when it comes down to actually doing what it takes for everyone to thrive, then people throw their hands up and throw in the towel. So those things are important. These conversations are important, and we need to have them more. Next week, we will have on the Honorable Mayor C. Jack Ellis, and he'll be talking about a few things. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. We didn't get to all of the details about what's going on. Congrats to Miss Miriam Paris for that win on the Democratic side.
They were here last week. George Summers. Shout out to George Summers too for putting in a good race.
That's right. And then we have a few runoffs. Congrats to Marshall Talley and Ryan Lemon. And thank y'all again for joining us. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all.
And check the chat. Make sure there's a lot of other good stuff in this chat. I always come back to our chat. It's good stuff.
Come back to the chat.
And follow us on Facebook, Village Talks. You can go watch our old shows too on YouTube. Make sure you do that.
We appreciate y'all. We love y'all.
Love y'all. See y'all next week. Peace.
You've been listening to Village Talks with Tia and LJ. Join them live every Wednesday from 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. right here on the Glory 107.9 FM, 980 AM, WDDO.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group.
Connecting the community through gospel. The new 107.9 FM, W300EB, Macon, and WDDO 980 AM.